Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second workshop. Just a quick question. Can everyone hear me? Okay, perfect. So welcome again. I'm Daniel Mieling. I guide you through our today's session that is about the practical steps for completing challenge number 1. And that involves how to collect, to clean your data set and prepare your annotation scheme. And this is a hands-on session, and I walk you through everything you need to gather, annotate your first data set by the end of this meeting. This session will be recorded, so just keep in mind if you raise your hand and ask anything, if you don't want to be included in that video, we will make it available for the public later on. So if you don't want to be in that video, just drop us a mail and we cut you out. So what happened so far? Let us just quickly recall where we are coming from. In workshop number 1, Professor Günther Jickeli, who is also here in this meeting, gave a foundational input on how anti-Semitism manifests and shifts in digital spaces, especially before and after October 7. And that talk focused on the conceptual and theoretical framework you need to understand the content you're about to collect. And if you missed this session, please see the link here to our GitHub repo. I also post the link to the PowerPoint in the chat. So if you want to have a look again on it, you need to download it. And yeah, I think it gives us a great comprehensive overview to get an idea about contemporary anti-Semitism on social media. So our today's session has 3 parts. In a moment, we will hear from our guest speaker, Keshet Neyman from Bright Data. She already joined the meeting, and she will say a few words about the Bright Data initiative and the work they've been doing there. In the second part, then, we will have our hands-on session. That means basically we will together, if you want to do this simultaneously, we will use the advanced search function from X, from the platform Twitter. Then we will do a little live scraping, and we will also do a pre-processing of the data in Google Colab, and then we prepare the data set for the annotation. And then in the third part, we wrap up with a little Q&A. So if you have any questions, if they are very urgent, you can always post them in the chat or just raise your hand. I hope I will see them. But I recommend to postpone them until we are done, because sometimes things explain themselves. All right, so just a little overview again about the instructions of this Datathon. So I already mentioned Günther Jickeli, and as I said, he led the first workshop. He's a leading expert on contemporary anti-Semitism, and he holds the Werner B. Rosenfeld professorship, and he also directs the Social Media and Hate Research Lab and provided, as I also said, the theoretical framework for the first session. I'll be leading the second workshop today, where we will go hands-on with challenge number 1. And I also mentioned Keshet Neyman from Bright Data. She will speak in a minute. And then the third workshop will be led by Damir Krava. He's a professor at Indiana University. And he's an expert in computational linguistics, machine learning, and also quantum NLP. And his work underpins the technical side of the Datathon. So he will basically give you a tutorial and an overview about the model training and the evaluation. And as a reminder in general, if you have any questions for challenge number 1 and all the annotation related questions, or if you have questions in general, I be your person where you have to just contact me or any person from our team, so Ganti Yikli or Rachel Kelly. And if you have any specific technical questions that are tied to deep learning, machine learning, I guess Professor Damir Kawa is happy to help you with anything, but I also will be available for questions tied to challenge number 2. So this is a little workshop schedule, workshop overview. So again, I just want to recap what happened so far. We had our first workshop on July 13, and that was all about learning the basics, the team formation, and the conceptual background. And again, today, the second session is about the scraping, annotating, or learn everything you need to basically be successful. And then the third workshop will take place next week on July 27, where then you will learn the basics for the machine learning part. And just keep in mind, the final submission deadline will be August 5th. So you have a little bit time left after the workshop to finalize your results, and just also keep in mind that your teams will stay together across both challenges. All right, so now I'm excited to introduce Keshet Neyman from Bright Data. Keshet will give us an overview about the Bright Data initiative, and just a quick word from our side. Thank you so much, Keshet, that you join us today. I think without you and with the support that you provide us, this entire Datathon wouldn't be possible. And I also can report that we used your scraping services for other projects, and I think this is one of the most powerful platforms that provides empirical data for social media research. So we are very excited that you joined us today. And if you want to say a few words or share something, just unmute yourself and say something about Bright Data.
Thank you. Can I share my screen? I put
Sure.
together a little presentation.
Yeah, sure.
Let me share. I have to send a request. Let me know if
Sure.
it's
All
nice
right.
to meet you all. I'll just say we're very honored and proud to also be, to partner with you guys and to support this this hackathon. It's very important for us that our tools are being used, to do good in the world and to do research on anti-Semitism on social media. Since October 7th, we've worked with many different researchers and organizations who are tackling this cause. So we're really, really proud to be taking part. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Amazing. It's the question we all need to ask, even though we all know the answer. So again, my name is Keshet. I am a partnership manager at the Bright Initiative by Bright Data. And I'd love to give kind of just a few words on what it is that we do, a little bit about the company, a little bit about the initiative. And to start, I want to kind of go to the basics and to talk about what public web data is and how Bright Data defines public web data, because kind of that's, at the core of what it is that we do. So if we look at public web data, for us, we define it as content that you could see online, that's available online, that anyone can view without needing to log into an account, without needing to put in any form of credentials, without needing to accept any terms and conditions. Essentially, what you could see on incognito mode is what we allow collection of on our tool. So nothing behind a paywall. Really kind of what's available out there, what was created for the public is what our tools allow you to collect. So I'd love to give you guys a little example of, what publicly available data is and kind of how it could differ. So over here, you could see, on the left, this is, if I go online and I put in Instagram.com, I don't log in, I might be prompted, you can't see anything unless you put in some more details, log in. And that's what Instagram is asking me to do. If I do log in, for an example, I use the World Health Organization URL. I log in, I go to their page, I could scroll, I could see many different posts, I could see many different likes, I could see comments, I could see the whole followers list. Really, there's just so much information that's available for me that I could see when I'm logged into an account. Now, if we look at the middle with the same URL, if I go in through incognito mode, so I'm not logged in, you could see that I get blocked, after a certain amount of posts, I can't collect anymore. I want to see the followers list, and it says, you need to sign into the account in order to see the list. So here you can kind of see, it's just an example about how certain websites and how certain platforms limit what you can access as a public user versus a logged in user. Now, of course, every platform is different. Every website's different. There are some websites that are completely blocked off unless you put in, credentials. There are some that are completely open. There are some that, like X or like Instagram, that it depends and they're changing constantly. But that's essentially where Bright Data, comes in. So we only collect what is publicly available. Again, what you can see when you're logged out. I just want to kind of put into, into our minds information that's available online. So this is a graph that shows how much data is being generated and added online, on a yearly basis. So you can look 10 years back, and predictions for a few years forward. The internet is the world's largest database, in human history, and it reflects our reality in real time. It's what allows us to know really what's going on in the world. And here the numbers are huge. All the numbers here are in zettabytes, which I don't really know how to explain, but it's a lot of information. And that's where a tool like Bright Data comes into play, because in order to access this information and to do something with it, you can't do it manually. You need tools to allow you to access this data in order to use it for many different use cases. As an example, obviously data is used all around us in decision making, all businesses, research. It's used kind of everywhere in the world, right? Whether it's for training AI models, you need so much data for that. Price comparisons, for example, social media analysis. I'm sure we're all familiar with, you're looking to book a flight and you go into Kayak or Cheapo Air or whatever the popular website is these days. What they're doing is constantly in real time, they're going to different airlines' websites and they're collecting the prices in real time so that you can pick the right flight options for you. So really it meets us in every minute of our day, every business, every website, every company, researchers all around the world are using data collection tools. However, we're currently in a data arms race. Websites are constantly trying to block access to this publicly available information. If it's through CAPTCHAs, if it's just through fingerprinting, different blocking mechanisms, or maybe you aren't able to collect it unless you're from a certain geolocation, for example. And they're really making it challenging. And that's where the Bright Data comes into play. And that's what our tools help you do, which is access this data that is publicly available. It's very important to remember that it's publicly available and it's for the public, but these websites are trying to protect it and kind of keep it, I don't know necessarily to keep it to themselves, but stop scraping from happening. And that's where Bright Data comes in. So Bright Data, we are a privately owned company with over 20,000 customers worldwide. And what we do is we help you access this information. So, when you're going online and you see a website, it's unstructured, it's, for human interaction, you scroll, you click, you could see images. But what we really need in order for analysis and different use cases is to create it into a structured form. As you can see here, if we go back to the Who's example, This would be an Instagram page, how we see it and how we interact with it. But Bright Data helps you, take that information and put it into a structured data set, as you could see on the right-hand side with, lots of different posts, who the user is, the description, the comments, and so on. We're not going to get too technical. I'll leave that to Daniel and the team. But essentially, all of Bright Data's tools are based off of our proxy infrastructure. So these are different IPs that allow you to collect from different geolocations around the world. On top of that, we have layers of unlocking and unblocking and just solving all the challenges of data collection, right? All the obstacles that we mentioned before. And then on top of that as well, Bright Data builds scrapers. We manage collection, we clean it, we parse the data, and we have it all kind of ready for you to use for all these use cases. And you guys will be using the Web Scraper API tool for your use case, which again, makes it super easy. We've taken the data collection challenges, parts aside, and allows you guys to just input simple URLs to get the data that you need. That's Bright Data in a nutshell. And then I want to quickly give kind of just a couple words on the Bright Initiative, which I represent. And we are the Data for Good arm of Bright Data. And we work in a few different ways. One is our Data for Good program. And that is our support for nonprofit organizations, academic institutions, researchers, governmental bodies, in accessing Bright Data's tools completely pro bono to do good in the world and to drive positive change. So we really look for projects that, again, are nonprofit, where data is at the core, and the goal of the project is to do good in the world. We also, with connection to this, we have work with Academy. This is getting involved with hackathons and datathons and universities around the world, educating future generations about public web data. We do this through sessions, master classes, workshops, hackathon support, and so on. And in addition to that, we have a policy arm. And this is where we are advocating for free access to public web data, setting standards for ethical data collection, and making sure that it stays, that the data collection stays ethical and is being used for good, and not harming the internet. I'll quickly just say the kinds of projects that we support are generally fall under the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, if you guys are familiar, but we do have our own areas of focus. Again, very impact focused use cases, things like environment and sustainability, gender equality, health and well-being, hate and discrimination, which is falls under this hackathon. As I said, we have a lot of use cases who are dealing with misinformation online, or combating hate speech online, but really impactful use cases where data is core. That's where we come into play, and that's where we support. So again, I'm really excited to be part of this hackathon. If anyone has questions, I'd be happy to answer, either through here or through email, whatever is best for you guys. And I wish you good luck. And I am really much, I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys create and what you're able to do with our tools and with the data. So thank you.
Thank you, Keshet. That was an interesting presentation. It really shows us the scale. I think that slide that you showed us about the zettabytes, I mean, it's unbelievable how much data is out there. And yeah, I think it also gives us an idea how important your work is. And I just came across about I think a recent implemented chapter on Facebook where you basically have to pile up stones, and you have to count them. And I wonder, I'm just very curious how you deal with that to basically create workarounds to get access to the data. I mean, that's probably a very technical question, but I think it's probably there's a lot of work involved, and these websites are not happy about what you're doing, because basically that's the best product, right? Data
technologies. For sure. So I'll quickly say that I'm not the technical person, and Bright Data has so many different types of tools that it would depend on which tool you're using. As I said, everything is based off of our proxy infrastructure. Just in our residential proxies, We have over 80 million different IPs, and we also have, 3 different types of we have data center, mobile, and internet service provider proxies as well. So whether it's rotating IPs or solving CAPTCHAs, we have, strong teams that are developing these different solutions, and that will retry to get to certain websites. If there's a website that's hard to get to, it will try a different method, it will try a different proxy, it will kind of continue trying different ways in order to access again, publicly available site.
Okay, if there are no further questions, I'd like to thank Keshet again for joining us today. It was great to have you, and I hope we can collaborate in the future in a similar project. And for our participants now, we make now a very short 3-minute break. You can grab something to drink, and then we see each other in 3 minutes, and we will continue with our walkthrough. All right, everyone, welcome back. So we will now continue with our walkthrough. So at this point, your team should be now to a certain degree be organized. But just in case, let's just quickly review the roles that you should have assigned by now. So you should have in your team a data manager. That person is more or less responsible for handling your scraping with Bright Data. Then you should also have a portal manager, so a person that basically sets up your team's project in the annotation portal. And then you should also work together with an annotation team. So basically you have to decide who is responsible for annotating and analyzing the content that you're about to scrape. And if you haven't picked the team name yet, I think it's also now a good time to reflect maybe if there is something, like if there is a team tag that you might want to use, because that is not just for us easier to like it makes it easier for us to differentiate between the teams, but it's also good to see if there is anything on the portal, like an issue on the portal. If your team basically uses the team tag, the team name there, it makes it easier for us to help you. And it's also, I think, a good part in the competition when we have then like the final bracket of the winners to basically then use your team name. So for further information about the Datathon, I also posted here a few links again on the side. So this presentation will be as the previous ones. This will be available on our GitHub repo. So you basically should just check again the challenge description. You should register on the annotation portal, and you should also check if you can use the Google Colab script. So our agenda for today is basically now working with the advanced search function on X. Then we go over to the Bright Data dashboard where we do a little live script then. And then we will also pre-process the data in Google Colab and upload it on the annotation portal and set up also a scheme. Again, before we do anything, and I think it's also important to remind you, I think it's very important that you follow this tutorial, or if you start working on the challenge itself, we don't recommend using smartphones. Otherwise, you maybe run into trouble to get things displayed incorrectly. You should also have a Gmail account, and you should also have registered on X and access to Google Colab. If you don't have access to these platforms and tools yet, don't worry. You can also, of course, register at a later point. And also very important for you to know, we additionally provide you with another video tutorial where you can pause then, of course, the tutorial and make sure that you have everything set up before you move forward. And we will make this video available by tomorrow. So you will find it on YouTube. It's a little bit more detailed that we will be able to cover today. We will also look at a few different aspects of the challenge, but we will keep you posted about that video tutorial by tomorrow. So here's our challenge description again. And the challenge number 1 consists of a series of clearly structured tasks. So first you need to define your scraping focus. That means, are you interested in looking at specific hashtags? Or are you interested in particular user groups or maybe controversial topics on the platform? Very important here for you is that you document all your steps. That means you have to justify as part of challenge number 1 why you have chosen a specific hashtag or keyword and or discourse strand, and you have to basically then use this as a description as part of your report that you are about to submit when you want to finish challenge number 1. And then, of course, second, you're supposed to use our your access to Bright Data. You might maybe want to try also to scrape tweets by yourselves, but I highly encourage you to use the tools that Bright Data provides us. And your goal is to scrape at least 100 relevant posts, user-generated content from X, and then you should use our annotation platform. And you should also decide how you want to annotate the data. So you have to make a decision what kind of definition you want to use. We have provided everything already on our GitHub repo, and in our tutorial, we will work with our working definition of anti-Semitism. But if you don't want to use that definition, it's completely fine. You can also use other frameworks if you'd like to. And finally, of course, the product of this challenge is to prepare a report that includes your annotation rationale, your definition, and the distribution of your labels. In other words, you give us an overview how many posts you have classified as anti-Semitic or not. You can also earn bonus points by, for example, including an inter-annotator agreement score. That means you have at least 2 people amongst your annotators that label the same data set. So you have to have, you can have 3 people, you can, but I think it's good. It's a good start if you have 2 annotators, and to evaluate your accuracy or to basically discuss then how often you disagree. That is very important for your report. That is basically then indicated by scores that you can calculate by using Cohen's kappa or Krippendorff's alpha. So let us now talk about the advanced search function. In order to use this tool, you, as I mentioned a couple of times already, you have to be registered on the platform. So if you have registered, please just use the link here to get access to the advanced search function. I will show you how it looks in just a minute. And your goal is to collect, and that's very important, you need to collect a very broad variety of different accounts. And to achieve this, we recommend, for example, specifying date ranges. You can also use keywords, and this will lead you then eventually to content from different levels of engagement. And remember, this task is supposed to filter top posts with high engagement, meaning you not just want to focus on posts during a specific time range, but you also want to focus on content that has at least 200 views or more. And by using this filtering method, your technical goal is then to collect a broad list of accounts. You basically just collect the URLs of the profiles, and then you save them somewhere where you can find them. So maybe in a spreadsheet. And now I just show you how the advanced search function works. So this is basically the URL that I just, hold on, I just post this in the chat again. So this is how the advanced search function looks now, and it helps us, I think, or more or less, it's first of all, it's a very good and good tool to find potential sources of anti-Semitic discourse, and to get meaningful results. We want to focus here on three key fields, and this includes here any of these words function. Hashtags is also important, and very important, language. Languages, we don't evaluate content in this Datathon that is non-English. So just make sure that when you use that tool, always select here English. So let me just do this. And then you have the date range function. So let me just show you what the search function shows us when we use it. So I'm interested in my scenario in content that was generated in the immediate aftermath of the anniversary of October 7th. So I just basically specify this in the from fields, and then I want to limit the search until the end of the month. And as keywords, I use three generic terms, Jews, Israel, and Zionism, and I also want to include the hashtag Israel. So I think now we are already good to go. And as you can see here in the top, it basically shows you again what kind of excuse me, content that you have searched for. And here you can see top, that is already that what we want. So mentioned, we are interested in top posts. And now it's important to make decisions about picking the right content. So that user here, or that person posted a video. And in order to make this content eligible for your selection, you just need to check this sign. It's the view sign. It's a little bar chart. And it also already shows us that that content has been viewed over 2,200 times. In other words, we are good to basically just collect content from that profile. And all you have to do is you click on the profile, then you basically copy this link, maybe in your spreadsheet, and then you go to the next user. And again, your goal is not just collecting. I mean, 100 posts doesn't sound a lot, but you want to include as many users here as possible. So you want to spend quite some time in this advanced search function, and you should have a conversation amongst your team members what kind of content you're interested in. So if you see, okay, that is basically just, content that is maybe not anti-Semitic, well, you can still include it. You never know if that person at a different point posted maybe something problematic. But again, just make sure that you collect something meaningful. In other words, content that you are interested in. And again, this is an iterative process. We will later see you might need to look for additional users, because sometimes, if you are interested in, I don't know, very specific content, maybe the data that we will later on scrape is not enough. All right. So that's about the advanced search function. Now let us talk about Bright data. So after collecting the user URLs, all you need to do is you need to go to the Bright Data website. Again, I post the link here in the chat, and you should have registered by now. And when you load the website, Bright Data will ask you, or the dashboard will show you different kinds of scrapers, and all you have to do is you choose the Bright Data no-code scraper for X, and then you choose posts and discover them by URL. I just show you how that works in just a minute. And all you have to do then is you post all your collected user profiles into the scraper, and then you specify how many posts you'd like to collect from these profiles. And after you basically then posted all your user URLs into the scraper, you can start with the data collection, and you just make sure to download then CSV file, because that is the compatible output that you need to use our annotation portal. So let's just check how the Bright Data dashboard looks like. So again, let me just click here on Home. So you have to click here on Web Scrapers. And this is here the list of all the different scrapers that are already available. So you basically could also just scrape here content from Instagram. But for challenge number 1, we use here the Axe scraper for profiles, and you collect content by URL. And here you basically can then add your inputs. So there we can see here there are 4 different users already included in the URLs list. So if you want to add more users, you just click here on Add Input, and it shows you then additional fields, and you then also need to, I don't know, specify the number of posts. And I think a good number to start with is 300 posts per user profile. So let's just do this. And just keep in mind, is like the more content you add here into the list, the longer the scraping will take. So in order to show you how the scraper works, I just here click here, start with collection. And now we can see our query runs. It shouldn't take too long, to be honest. Like in the past, it took maybe like for that amount of posts, less than a minute. Yeah, the collection time, as you can see, was 4 seconds, success rate 100%. And now we can just simply click here on download, and Bright Data asks us what kind of output content we want to have. So in our scenario, we work with CSV data. And I mentioned already that this might be an iterative process. So you, I don't know, sometimes realize, okay, the content that you scrape was leading to nothing. So therefore you have to go back to the Twitter, to X, and basically look for new content and add the content again to the feed the URLs again to the scraper. Very important here is if you lose any data, Bright Data has a logs function. So if you, I don't know, don't find your data anymore, you will find the data set that you scraped in the logs here. And again, you can always then specify if you want to download it maybe as JSON or CSV. So I think it's very good because it secures the data, and especially when you work with larger amounts, it's very, like, it can get messy very quickly, and Bright Data make sure that you don't lose any of your scrapings. All right. So now we have searched for the user profiles. We have scraped our first amount of data, and now we need to prepare the data for our annotation portal. And how we are pre-process the data? Well, we just use Google Colab. You can, of course, use other tools. Like in that scenario, we use Python. And to get access to Google Colab, of course, you need to register. Again, here's the link. And when you read the challenge description thoroughly, you might have seen that we already included a 2 code cells that you just need to run in order to pre-process the data. So I show you how that works. So this is Google Colab. And for those of you who are familiar with Python, this IDE looks pretty similar to Jupyter Notebook. And here you can see that I have registered on Google Colab, and now we just simply wanna upload our scraping data into Colab, and all you have to do is you need to just simply drag and drop your data set into that folder that I just opened here. It's a folder that all of you will see when you register. And now when we want to import data, Colab simply, well, it tells us that all the content that gets not saved in a different folder will, after you close the window, will be deleted automatically. So if you want to save the material here on Google Colab, just make sure that you specify your folder. So let us just then load our libraries. Again, Colab asks us a few things. You can ignore this. Now, this is a very important part here. So now you want to specify the data set that we just uploaded. So what I'm going to do is I just click here on these 3 dots. Then I click on rename, and then I just string copy this. And now we have here our data frame that we want to create. And all you have to do is basically put the name of your data set in there. And then we have a second variable here that is very important for you. Just make it a little bit larger. So this is a keywords line. And for the sake of this tutorial, I just used Jew, Netanyahu, Gaza, and so on to basically then filter the scraped content from Bright Data for these keywords. So let's say we want to expand this list. We just do a little double quotation mark here and maybe want to add, I don't know, another hashtag, maybe genocide. So you can use as many keywords as you want, but just keep in mind, this selection of keywords is, you need to explain this in your report. So in order to basically pre-process the data, you can just click here, and now it shows us the parsing is complete. We have already 49 relevant tweets that have at least one of those keywords included in the tweet itself. So in other words, this wouldn't be enough for the collection of your data set, because your goal is to reach 100 posts. All right, so now we could technically just click here. It says past tweets filtered. So this is the output file, and we could technically already download the material. It contains many fields. So if you, again, go on the Bright Data dashboard, there's a dictionary included, and that dictionary shows you what parameters, what kind of metadata you also script. So you're basically, for our purpose, we don't need as much information. We just want to make sure that the data set is compatible for our annotation portal. And all you need for that purpose is the tweet ID and the username. And therefore, we just run a different line of code. So you don't need to specify anything because it's already predefined here. And you run that code cell, and you have your data set ready for the download. It's named past tweets for the annotation, and all you have to do here is then downloading the file. All right. So now we come to our last step, the upload and the creation of your annotation scheme on our annotation portal. Again, all of your team members want to, or maybe should create an account. Sorry, I click now on the link. You want to create a profile on our annotation portal. And what you want to do on that portal is you create a new project. That is basically the important part where the annotation manager, the portal manager, has to pay attention now. So you need to create a new project in our portal. Then you need to create a new sample. And in the third step, you create your annotation scheme. That is the definition that you apply and the questions to annotate the content from X. And very important, don't start with the annotation until your annotation, like your portal manager, has fully created your annotation scheme. If you don't wait until your portal manager is done with creating your annotation scheme, you will run into an error, and the manager has to create a new project. And we will see now in a minute what that person then is supposed to do. It involves, it's not difficult, but it involves a lot of copy pasting. So let's just see how our annotation portal looks like and works. So now this is the annotation portal. I just simply log in. And after you logged in, you have to decide what role you want to take. For our purpose, we want to pick the role of the manager. And then the annotation portal shows you all your existing projects. So I have some projects already created. I use these in classes. So now let's just create a new project. So this is where you want to enter your team tag or your team name. So let's just say I use here the title tutorial 66. You don't need to include a project description. You can if you like, but it's not mandatory. And then the portal asks you what kind of data you want to upload. So it currently works with Twitter data, TikTok, and so text data. And again, after clicking the platform, the annotation portal then shows you how the data needs to be structured in order to display it correctly. Because one of the great advantages of our portal is that it pulls the data again live from X and shows the content in its original environment. And that wouldn't be possible if you would work with other annotation tools, like, for example, Label Studio or in Inception. So let's just create a sample afterwards. Okay, it shows that this name already exists. So let's just pick another name. This name exists as well. Okay. Okay, maybe we have, okay, this worked now. All right, so now you have to give your sample a name. And we call this whatever, and then you just upload the file. So I just uploaded here the past tweets for annotation, or that is the file that we just created in Colab, and then we upload the sample. So now our project gets shown here, and the portal manager, your manager of your team, now then goes to the sample and forwards to you this token, because you need this token to enroll in the sample. So this is basically just a security step in order to avoid that people that shouldn't have access to your data enroll in it. So you basically just copy and paste this and share this amongst your team members. So let me just do that. And then your portal manager needs to create a questionnaire. So that's what we do right now. And as I mentioned previously, like at ISCA, we primarily use the arrow working definition of anti-Semitism. We already created you, or we provide you an annotation scheme for the arrow working definition. It can be found on our GitHub. So it's called Annotation Guideline. And now you basically copy and paste everything that is in this guideline into your questionnaire. So that's what I'm going to do. I basically start with the definition and I enter this here as a question. And then you have to specify what kind of question type you want to pick here. So for that purpose, this is just a definition. You want to see it. You just pick your comment, and this question is not required. And then you submit the question, and that is your first question. Let's just create another one. Very important, sometimes posts disappear on the platform. So it might happen if it's like, for example, a controversial topic and X is interested in deleting maybe anti-Semitic content, then it can happen that you collect data that was online, but at a certain point it just disappears. And therefore we have this question. This question is required. And then you have a multiple choice. So is this post online? And all you have to do is you add option number 1, which is online, and option number 2 is offline. And then you submit the question. And as you can see, it's just a copy and pasting process, but make sure that you do it carefully, because otherwise, as I said, when you notice that something was copy pasted in an incorrect way, then you will run into problems. So just take your time and set up your annotation scheme carefully. Again, this is the last question that I add here. We have several questions. So this is question number 2, very important question. Is this post anti-Semitic according to the arrow working definition of anti-Semitism? And you have here 5 different options. So you can basically choose between confident and not anti-Semitic, probably not anti-Semitic. Sometimes you just simply don't know if it's anti-Semitic or not, and the same with anti-Semitic content. So you just, again, add these options and just click here. Always make sure that you click that little check sign, because this question is required. Let me just post this real quickly. All right. So this would be then done. And then you would have like the IRA section itself. It involves many paragraphs. These paragraphs are of interest because they basically help you to differentiate the content that you might classify as anti-Semitic. So sometimes it's just hatred towards Jews, and this hatred towards Jews is basically indicated by emotion describing words. Sometimes it's conspiratorial content, though that would be section 3.1.2 that involves stereotypes. So I don't copy paste everything here right now. Again, I said we have a tutorial video for you that we will provide you by tomorrow. And again, you can see how the scheme looks like. I just want to show you now the final scheme. So now you basically go back when you're done with setting up your annotation scheme. You go back to the main website, and you basically then choose between manager and annotate. And now we just want to see how the annotation scheme looks like. So I already created this project here, and now you click here annotate, and you see here the content. So this is a tweet. It includes 4 videos, and this is then the annotation scheme. So this is the definition that we just copy pasted. Then second question, is this post still online? Let's just click here, it's online. For the sake of this tutorial, I leave it up to you if this post that I just shown you is anti-Semitic. So I just simply click here, I don't know. Then the IRA section that applies here, again, that would be maybe a multiple choice. So you can click here on just more than one checkbox. And then the next question is, how is the anti-Semitic content disseminated? In other words, is the is the anti-Semitic idea conveyed in the text? Is it in a written text, or is it part of an audio? Is it part of a video? So again, you can just simply do a multiple choice here, and then we come also already to the last question. This is referring to, is this post calling out or reporting on anti-Semitism? So you might don't know what that means. So sometimes people online, if they have a good faith in creating a friendly online environment, they report that somebody else posted something problematic. And they do this sometimes with just a screenshot or just a retweet, and they add a comment on it. And that would be like, if that content is considered to be anti-Semitic, the calling out would basically then be that the person says, oh, just found this post online. I think it's highly problematic, and I want to raise awareness that this should be, from my point of view, deleted. That would be an example of what it means to make a calling out of anti-Semitism, right? So if that applies, you just simply click yes here, and you submit your annotations, and you get to the next tweet. So this is all about the annotation. I just saw there is one question connected to the annotation part. It says, can the portal manager also do annotation? Yes, of course, and it's totally up to you how you divide your work load. If one person feels more convenient in doing the annotations or has just simply no experience in coding, I think it's also like it probably makes sense to assign this role to a person that is capable in doing this. All right, so before we close this walkthrough, I just simply want to recall what's next. So now you should be at least technically fully equipped to complete challenge number 1. Just make sure that your team now meets in the next few days to, I don't know, brainstorm about relevant data you like to gather from X, or start with the scraping, set up the annotation scheme, and of course, uploading then the data. And finally, then if you're done with the annotation process itself, you basically then download your file from the portal, and you might want to include the inter-annotator agreement if that is possible for you to do. So if you have now any questions, just raise your hand in the chat or just unmute yourself. And just again, before we go to the Q&A, again, the next web workshop is already next Sunday on July 27. You get an introduction to the automated detection and get an idea about the machine learning part. So, and again, here's the link to our GitHub repo. Again, you find all the materials that you need on that repository.